Got that dog in him. Welcome on to the Tortillas Takes podcast, part of the 1012 Network. You are on once again with your boy, I'll be sure. And a couple weeks ago was the last time we potted, and we said that after that Baylor loss, if we lost to both Baylor and TCU, there's no point in us potting anymore. So we took a week off. Texas Tech lost to TCU, but then they beat 11th ranked Iowa State. So we're back. We're back. And so to talk about, more of the good times and the bad times of both games, got the Red Raider expert himself, Joe Lopez. What's going on, Joe?
Albert, Jeremy, gentlemen, it was good to have a week off. I know you guys have been traveling quite a bit over the country and stuff like that. So good to be back and talk some football. And guess what? We get to talk about a Texas Tech win. Good, bad, ugly, whatever you want to reference it at all. A win's a win on the books. So yeah, good weekend for Tech.
Yeah, let me tell you something, brother. That was ugly. UGL bye. We ain't got no alibi. Both games very ugly, but we've ended both times 1-1. So talk about that. Like Joe was saying, I know I was traveling out to snowy Burlington, Vermont. I wasn't not a fan. Not a fan of the snow. Actually, it was really beautiful, but the snow was not. And also traveling across the country was the People's Champ himself, Jeremy Gill. What's going on, guys?
Out in the Berg, out in Pittsburgh. What's up, guys? Yes, I think just thankful. I just want to thank God in this moment for a Texas Tech victory, because boy, we did not want to talk about a sliding Texas Tech team. Let me tell you. We were ready. I think a lot of us were ready for this one to look a lot different. And we even at the very beginning, after the first drive, there were messages. There were messages being said that we got to temper our expectations. We can't get excited. And boy, were we so right. We were so right, because yikes, this was a good one. This was an interesting one.
Interesting one, no doubt. For Iowa State anyway, like the Iowa State game was one. It's funny because the two games I've come into the season saying we're not winning, right? Was at Arizona and at Iowa State. Coming into both games, I'm like, pack it up. We ain't winning. Joey McGuire doesn't know how to win on the road. This is a game that has not only doesn't know how to win on the road, these are two fairly decently, far distances, and against teams that at the time were perceived to be good. Now, Iowa State actually is good. Arizona, we're finding out more and more, may not be. But either way, both games I come into the game saying, we ain't winning this game. In both games, we pulled it out at the end. So maybe I need to have the attitude that no chance we win in this game for all of these games. And we do play a ranked Colorado this week. And let me tell you something, I'm not feeling too great about it. So maybe that's a good sign. Maybe that is a good sign. So first things first, before we get into Iowa State, like I mentioned before, we did not get a chance to recap TCU. So we gotta cry a little bit and talk about the TCU games. Gentlemen, I will say the Baylor game, after losing to Baylor, I was more surprised in how we lost than the fact that we lost. And everybody thought like the Baylor's record, looked at it and said, okay, well, Baylor is going, we should beat the crap out of Baylor at home. I looked at Baylor and I know I mentioned on the pod, and I thought that I made a joke about them being the best at the time, I think 2-5 team in the country or whatever it was. But that their schedule up to that point was really difficult. And that this was actually a better team than advertised. And sure enough, they went to Tech and whooped our behinds. But the TCU game, however, I looked at TCU and said, no, this is actually a bad team. This is actually a bad team. The fans know it's a bad team. There's not going to have a lot of fan support. They didn't have as much fan support as we usually see from TCU. And this was a game that, in my opinion, Tech should be able to go into Ames Carter Stadium and get the W. And for most of this game, it looked like Texas Tech was going to walk into Ames Carter Stadium and get the W. At one point, Texas Tech was winning 31-14. There is no reason in the set you're up by 17 points late in the third quarter that you should lose a game. But Joe, Texas Tech found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. What the hell happened in that TCU game?
Comms. Nah, I'm just playing. We just actually gave that game up altogether. You go up 17 points in that game, and it's just you think that a bad team, and you're going to just walk them out of their own stadium, and it was just a slew of bad plays. I mean, they scored on a long play after a long play after a long play. It's kind of like they didn't know who Savion Williams was. It's like, oh, this kid's trash. And this was the single-handedly, he kept them in the game. Just big plays after big plays. You just wish that, this was the very first time in a while, I guess. DeRuyter coaching and playbook and just the way he operated in this game just kind of got put under a bigger microscope. So I mean, it was tough to watch. I'm sure it was tough to be there if you were there in the Metroplex area who went down into Fort Worth to watch that football game. But yeah, it was there's not enough bad things you could say about that game. I'm trying to erase it out of my memory. Just like I said, it's typical Tech. Typical Tech.
Definitely a typical Tech game, and also in the way that our starting quarterback got hurt, right? So at the time of the game, Baron Morton, who actually was having a decent game, right? The numbers did have it to where at the time he was 13 for 22 at halftime, 137 yards. Wasn't necessarily wowing anybody. There was a couple times where he made some questionable decisions, but was playing okay. And then at halftime comes, and Will Hammond, who remember started the season as QB3. The one time he kind of got a showcase to show what he could do, came in and kind of balled out, and he was like, oh, maybe he should be QB2. And they made it known he is QB2. Comes in the third quarter and starts slinging it, starts doing things we hadn't seen. Looked incredible. In that first drive where he basically led the team down right to a touchdown, and you're like, oh my, this is like the third quarter with Will Hammond, right? That 13-yard pass to Coy Eakin was great. That drive was great. Then he had that 4-yard run, 2 touchdowns, 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. We're up 31-14, and we're like, is the bear raid over? Because Will Hammond's looking incredible. But it went from Will Hammond, the star, to this wild, I don't want to say conservative play calling, but just like, we still don't know about this freshman. We know he just slung it for the last 2 drives. We're going to take the ball away. Jeremy, explain a little bit about that second half with Will Hammond and what you kind of saw. It didn't necessarily seem like he struggled. It just seemed like there was questionable decisions made from upper management that limited him as he went forward.
Yeah, I mean, we had about 4 minutes left in the third. You're up 31-14. You feel like you've got this thing in the bag. You were running and gunning. You're playing well. Hammond was showcasing not only his passing ability, which we've seen already, but his ability to extend the play with his feet. Like he's a good runner. I would say he's a very conscientious runner. Not afraid to just run out of bounds. Just very he's not forcing it, which gets a lot of quarterbacks in trouble. I feel like he looks very comfortable, which is crazy, seeing as he's a true freshman. Something clicked. Something clicked, buddy. And there was this lack of ingenuity. And so I think a big thing that people will say, well, there's always going to be in-game adjustments. TCU made some defensive adjustments. Okay, great. You know what? I get it. That makes total sense. The thing is that to have a collapse of being 31-14 and you only get 3 more points after absolutely cooking for 2 quarters in a row, 28 points in 2 quarters, and that you can only squeak out. This actually kind of sandwiched the game because it was first quarter, you only got 3. Fourth quarter, you only got 3, but you got 14 in the middle. So it was a really crappy sandwich. But just really lack of good play calling, lack of an ability to set up for a good run. It just did not feel like the number one Big 12 offense. It felt like an offense that was very dilapidated. It was very slow. And there was just, in a sense, Will Hammond was cooking, and then it felt like he suddenly couldn't cook anymore. And for me, that feels like that was more of like the play calling that he was having to figure out, or, hey, play call, why special, you have to hit him here. Maybe he's not open. Maybe Hammond's he's getting the call of you got to hit Kelly on this. Kelly's wrapped up or whatever. You just don't know. But there was miscommunication, and we just fell apart. And the defense was unable to stop And the defense was the problem in this game because they had an inability to stop chunk plays. And TCU got back on the back of chunk plays. And so, you know what? 31 points or 34 points total ain't that bad. The defense did give it up. The problem was in the end, like we couldn't squeak out a touchdown to save our life. So it was really TCU was really hard to watch. Baylor was like, nah, fuck. Well, that happens. TCU was abysmal because of how we lost it.
Yeah, after going up 31-14, TCU scored touchdown, just like that. And that's how you end up losing the game. And so one other thing is, talk about the highlights of Will Hammond. Will Hammond did have he fumbled twice, right? One led to the punt. One he recovered, but it did really take us from a situation where we were driving to having to punt the ball away. And the next one, it being a fumble during a run that went right back to TCU. So I think both of those lowlights were not great for the 18-year-old, but he still is 18, right? He showed the highlights, showed what he can do. I also think, though, I know everybody ready to jump on the Hammond train before Iowa State. That part of it, you got to take the good and the bad when it comes to Will Hammond, right? You got to take there was a couple times, like I love the running, but it'd be like where you say, okay, maybe, keep me. Mind you, TCU punched the hell out of that thing, right? So I give a little bit more credit to TCU and what they're able to do. But and also, why the hell is Will Hammond running in that situation? That's really the biggest thing that I can say there.
That play call was miserable.
Yeah, that has makes. Yeah,
because long story short, I think you could have ran the same play call that won you the game at Iowa State there to get that first.
What? So he's our backup quarterback. Why isn't Jalen Conyer? You have this short package for a reason. Right? It works. Right. Everybody was talking about during that, and I'm going to go to the Iowa State game a little bit. They were talking about that kid was getting too cute with Jalen Conyer. That's not cute. That's just going to show you our package. It's working. Let it work.
Yeah.
There's none of us getting cute. Go with Jalen Conyer in that situation. But yeah, I definitely look at that aspect of Kitley. And then, like Jeremy, you said with the defense, especially in the second half there, and their inability to get stops, a lot of people do point to one decision that might have lost us the game. And now I think this decision is a bit of a hindsight decision. But, when it comes to coaching decisions, a lot of the times I say, and I look at it and say, it's only a bad coaching decision, in my opinion, is if it was a bad coaching decision regardless of whether it worked or not, right?
Yeah.
So the main decision that everybody's pointing to is that in the fourth quarter, we're up 31-21. We have a 4th and 2 on the 6-yard line, and we kick a field goal. We go conservative. We decide to kick a field goal, make it goes from a 10-point game to a 13-point game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we can point to that decision and say, had we gone for it and had we got it, we more than likely that percentages of us winning exponentially goes through the roof, right? We score a touchdown there, and I don't think we're having the same conversation today in hindsight. Guys, and I'll start with you, Jeremy. Do you think that decision to kick the field goal? Well, I asked you 2 questions. First question is, do you think we should have went for it? Second question is, do you think that cost us the game?
This was after that. So I'm trying to remember that drive in total. Let me actually. Yeah, go ahead.
I can tell you. So TCU just scored the touchdown. We went on a 13-play drive that spanned over to the fourth quarter. That was Taj Brooks was running it really well in that one. Actually, even to get it down to that 4th and 3, Hammond was sacked on a 3rd and 11 and went off to Brooks, and Brooks made a couple guys miss and almost got the first down himself.
Yeah, so we ran from that 3rd and 11, that 8-yard Taj Brooks run, and I think for me, I never want to be cynical about taking points, but Matt Wells kind of also blew that up on me with some of his decision making with like field goals at random times of the game, whatever. With the efficiency of that drive in particular, I do sympathize with like Taj Brooks was pretty much averaging 5 yards a rush. And if Taj is cooking, I don't see how as an offensive coordinator you say, you know what, let's not give it to him because he just had an 8-yard run. I know there's a 1 yard before that, but before that was like 5, 7, 5. He was cooking. So in my mind, I would almost rather risk the turnover on downs with a much longer field, and your defense was playing like trash. And the reason they probably went for it is because they knew the defense was not playing well, so they were just trying to make it a 2-score game.
Well, I mean, it was already a 2-score game. It was already a 10-point game.
Yeah. Okay, well, so let's say it in that way. It's almost negligible if they get a touchdown and a touchdown, which they did, because then they're up a point anyways.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I sympathize even further about why not put the ball in your all-star running back's hands and make him let him play his game. Because like Taj wants it. It's not like, hey, let's go try to get this. I'm like, if there's anybody in the team who is going to have the most likelihood of success because of his physicality and his actual desire, it's going to be Taj Brooks. So in a shortage like that, I'm okay. I'm not okay with the field goal decision.
Yeah, I'm also going to play devil's advocate before I get to you, Joe, is that there's also the thought of, even if that does happen, like you're saying, and like what happened, we scored 2 touchdowns. Surely, the way the offense is humming, we scored 2 touchdowns back to back. We're gonna have 3 scoring drives in a row. We'll at least get 1 more field goal. 1 more field goal. That's 3 possession. Surely, we'll get 1 more field goal. So at the worst, come to absolute worst, we get 1 more field goal and be good to go. On the flip side of that, Joe, what is your thoughts there? Do you think it was a good decision for us to keep the field goal?
Absolutely not. I think this is one of those times. Just it's just like Jeremy said, you take the points, right? How do you feel about it? I mean, you don't want to leave anything out there, but I mean, even if you're stopped, TCU has to go 97 plus yards to score. This is one of those deals you could have put it away. I mean, there was also the missed field goal earlier in the game as well from Burkhart that I think was a 50 plus yard field goal as well that kind of attributed to, I guess, this decision that McGuire made. But I think you also have to just kind of go for the jugular here. You have arguably one of the better running backs in the nation. You have set packages, as we saw this last week against Iowa State. I mean, you have the personnel to get 2 yards on the ground. I mean, it's just, so why not go for it? Like I said, I think that was one of the decisions there that, McGuire probably looks back on,
And here's the hard intangibles. Here's the things that we cannot gather that also impact a game. We score a touchdown. Does TCU feel motivated or kind of debilitated by that? Because they hold us to a field goal. I mean, when we're right there, it's like, hey, we're cooking. Momentum. Like it's something you can't measure, but in the moment you're like, I feel it. It's shifting.
Do either of y'all think that decision lost us the game?
I think the following 3 drives lost us the game. I think fumbling on back-to-back drives lost you the game, if I'm being honest.
That'll do it. So I actually agree with both of y'all that fumbling. I agree with both of y'all that didn't lose us the game. I do also. So my whole thing in those scenarios, when it is a 50-50 toss-up, whether you should go for it or not, to me, it all depends on, does the field goal push you to an extra possession, right? So if we were already up 13 and that field goal made it a 3-possession game, kick the field goal, right? Yeah. If it changes the dynamics of the game, right, then take the field goal. I remember against Arizona, we were playing Arizona, and Arizona, it was like a 4th and 1, and they decided to we were tied. They decided to kick the field goal to take the lead. And everybody in the crowd was like, no, go for it. And I jokingly said, yes, please listen to your fans. And instead of taking the lead, go for it. That's right. Yeah. Because that's just dumb. Like, you're going to do what's going to change the dynamics of the game, right? And then so in this scenario, though, you go from a 2-score game to a 2-score game, right?
Yeah.
Like, I guess on one hand, now you have to score touchdowns twice, but it's still only 2 drives. And TCU was able to do it. They 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. And so that is, and even if it was a 10-point game, so we don't get the 4th down, it's still 2 drives. Like, that's, so to me, that's the main reason why I looked at that play and I said, of all the times you're supposed to be this riverboat gambler, this, aggressive coach, this is the time. It's not even that aggressive. This is just saying, hey, we're in a good position. Right, our running back just got 8-9 yards. We're in a really good position here. Let's get 2-3 more, get the 1st down, get this touchdown, and the game is likely over, because it would have been likely over. That's a 17-point lead. It's a 3-possession lead with about 10 minutes to go in the game. I'm not saying the game's not shut, but it's closing. And so that's, but again, I agree with you. That didn't end the game. Devil's advocate, you would think assuredly at worst we'd get one more field goal. Like one more field goal, the game's it's in the same scenario, the same situation. So you would think that I'm surely we'll get one more field goal. And that just back-to-back fumbles, that doesn't happen.
And here is the frustration that where the game is beyond the numbers, right? Analytics. What does that word even mean? Because this coaching staff has tried to illustrate
analytics. Analytics would have told you to go for it. Analytics would have told you to go for it. Like,
I'm telling you.
So
he was like, I don't feel comfortable. If it was 4th and 5, I'd go. But right now,
win percentages definitely go higher for you to go for it. Like,
there's that comps drop. The analytics guy trying to get down to McGuire, say, hey, you probably should go for it.
That's what
some other guy intercepted, and he's like,
yeah,
we got to kick coach. We got to
kick coach.
Yeah.
The book says kick it.
For those that don't know, so over between TCU and Iowa State, there was a communications thing. Apparently, our radios weren't encrypted. There was thoughts that, hey, they're stealing our signs. They are stealing our signs. Let me tell you something. Who was it, Kenzie, in the chat that said that they could have, you don't got to steal signs to know our plays, baby.
That's right. That's right. Dang.
Somebody tweeted the meme of that guy taking his headphones off. It's like, a screen again.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, that was, I would say when it first came out, the Baylor game was the one that was like, maybe. Because they scored 59 points again. They were killing our defense. Part of me was
Baylor
like,
one's
maybe.
iffy.
That
the
one
TCU
was
ones, that's negligence. Just negligence from them.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I know there was a lot of, as is everything in Texas Tech, not even Texas Tech Twitter, these are Texas Tech message boards. There's a lot of rumors and a lot of, like, I don't know if Connor Stallions now is a Baylor grad. I don't know if he came down to do some of that encrypting, you know what I mean, and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, we took 2 big L's. We took a third L because we kind of became a little bit of a laughing stock. Jeremy brought it up what College Game Day was talking about us. But College Game Day don't know jack because every single one of them picked Iowa State to beat Texas Tech. What's funny? College Game Day got all this. Jeremy, you tweeted out our prediction, and nobody reported us to Cold Takes, because all 3 of us picked. Joe picked Iowa State to win. I think that's the first game this season you picked Tech to lose.
But this was one of my only games that I picked Tech to lose. This was going to be just the toughest one. Yeah. And, whatever. Joe Vimber continues.
There's a lesson in there, Joe, that you never give up the faith. Never give you're the best of us.
The best of us, yeah. That's why we write you on.
So Texas Tech goes into Ames, Iowa, and pulls off a very surprising upset, right? And so talking about this game, and it starts off really right at the beginning where Texas Tech has a few good plays, marches down a little bit, then a pass from Baron Morton to wide open Josh Kelly. And then the next drive, it almost looks like we're about to do it again. And we did do it again. Great throw to Koy Eakin. But, the refs with a very weak offensive pass interference call. They basically saw the defender go down and was like, oh, well, that must be it. White guys aren't allowed to catch. White guys aren't allowed to make outside wide receiver plays.
And you made a mistake on who that went to. That went to Clay Aiken, by is not Coy.
That's right. Yeah. I could have. A part of me was like, "Am I listening incorrectly? Is he really saying Clay each time?"
It went on the whole game.
The whole game.
It went on too long. It wasn't like sorry everybody, I meant Coy. It was like, oh, it's Coy. And then later it's like, well, then Clay Aiken. Yeah, it's like,
and nobody gave him the message down like, hey man, you're saying his name wrong.
Yeah.
He was like, no, this is it. But yeah, no, a very bad OPI that took away a touchdown, and it's 10-3. And it's funny when that OPI was taken away. In my head, I'm like, well, there it is. It was fun while it lasted. That's the and it felt that way for a little bit, right? Iowa State, Texas Tech in the second quarter really had nothing going. Iowa State's defense started to kind of butt it up, and then in that last drive right before halftime. Well, and even before I get to that, some of the offensive play calling in this game, you really saw it in the first half. Guys, after that whole Coy Eakin OPI, let me tell you how the rest of the first half went for the Red Raiders. Okay. Of course, we keep the field goal on that drive. It went punt, interception, interception. And halftime, we go from up 10-3 to down 13-10. First half was just abysmal offensively after that second drive. Nothing can get going. Baron Morton was just making terrible decisions, terrible passes. Nobody knew what he was doing. The play calling was all over the place. Joe, what the hell?
It was one of those games like you're like, okay, when is Zach Kittley going to cost us a game here? Like, because we've been teetering around this line all season long where his play calling has been suspect at different times. We started running Taj the first drive pretty heavily, and we were successful setting up some RPOs, some passes down the field, and able to score. The second drive was sort of the same, and then Taj Brooks just falls off the face of this play sheet altogether. I tweeted something out of, what Taj was thinking as Zach Kittley was calling plays in, and it was just a guy twiddling his thumbs on the bench because, he kind of went for broke, for two almost, what was it, like four carries in the first half, 4 or 5?
He had 4 carries in the first drive, 3 carries for the rest of the half.
The remaining. And it was just like, and then between that and the bad clock management towards the end there, how the half ended, I think, we throw the ball there around midfield, and then that's whenever they get that pick, and then they go down and get that touchdown. But between the play calling and the clock management there towards the back end of the second quarter, man, it was just like, here we go. Here's the trailer falling off of the back of the truck. It was just one of those deals, but ultimately didn't come back and bite us. But man, it was tough to watch, Taj not get carries, and it was tough to watch us not capitalize on opportunities because I think we had that Rocco Beck fumble recovery we did nothing with, things like that. We left some stuff out there.
Yeah, and I think there's certain things, and I'm in no way a Zach Kittley defender, but when everybody shifts to the extreme on one end or the other, I always seem to kind of try to take as much a reasonable take as I can, right? And so this year, it's caused me to somewhat defend him at some points. There's really not much to defend in this game. Not giving a top 5 running back in the nation, only giving a top 5 running back in the nation 3 carries for like the high majority of the first half is that's damn near a fireable offense. Like, I don't know how you can in any way say anything else, right? That's like if Auburn, when Cam Newton was there, was like, you know what, Cam, we got to run the ball with our running backs more. You know what, Tebow? We don't really need you like that, right? Herschel Walker, have you heard of this quarterback? Let's throw him the ball. Like, hey, Graham Harrell, instead of throwing it to Crabtree, have you really thought about some of our other guys? Detron Lewis is really good too, right? And mind you, Detron Lewis was really good, but he ain't no Crabtree. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what that is like, right? And so, like, that was insane to me that you would say, Baron, you don't need Taj. It's all you, buddy. I know, and mind you, it is cold and raining. The weather's not good. This is perfect run the ball weather against a good Iowa State defense that's so much better against the pass. Like, everything about this game is like, oh, we're gonna run Taj like it's crazy, and Kittley's like, oh no, This is Star Wars 3D Big Bang Theory chess. I'm gonna show you guys. We don't have to do what's easy.
They won't be expecting it. They won't be expecting it.
Well, so here's where the frustration set in for me, because in my mind I thought, I mean, it's noticeable, right? Taj is in, he is running well, and then he's no longer running the ball, and that's obvious. Like for anybody who watched Texas Tech football, it's like if we ain't seeing you leave it up to Taj, you Texas Tech, you just a random guy. So it was at halftime whenever McGuire was asked, hey, why were you guys didn't really seem to hand the ball off very often, what was going on, blah, blah. And McGuire said, we saw what we like. We were getting a lot of really good looks with the pass. And so we wanted to keep pressing that. And I tweeted it out, and I was like, yeah, in the first 2 drives against the number 2 defensive team in the country or whatever, the pass defense, you got good passing. In the following X amount of drives, you got jack shit, and you said, you know what? We're gonna draw it up again. We're gonna go right back at them because they're gonna break, boys. They're gonna break, boys. And I just thought, okay, let's just say I'm an average coach at a random institution. If I was like trying to hammer the pass out and multiple 2, 3 and out kind of play drives, I'd be like, you know what? Let's just see what the running back can do, because they are dialed in. And that thought just never seemed to cross anybody's mind. And Joe mentioned it, and we'll talk about the second half obviously in a second, but like the turnovers turning into nothing was one of the most demoralizing things I think I've ever watched, because Tim DeRuyter's coaching out of his mind. Like this is why these games like this are when I look at DeRuyter and go, it's actually a good coach, because you have one of the best at-home teams this season in terms of domination, and you held them to 22 points. Like that's so you created turnovers where they were not used to giving turnovers at home. You were making their offense frustrated, right? But you know what? They knew they were going to get it back. Why? Because we were about to go 3 and out. Talk about knowing what was going to happen. I mean, we were joking in the DM. We were in our group chat. It was like, hey, you know what? I bet it's going to be 3 passes, and we're going to give it right back. And even at the end, it was get there. I texted somebody. I said, hey, what do you want to bet? Because we had that late turnover. I was like, what do you want to bet we somehow magically give it back to him with like X amount of seconds, like X amount of minutes and seconds on the clock? And we were damn near right there when we gave it back. And I was like, I got to buy a lottery ticket or something, because Texas Tech makes me feel like I can see the future.
Let me tell you something. Tech is not the reason you need to buy lottery tickets. That's the case. We'd all be buying lottery tickets. They're not too much to predict there. I do think, to your point, we came down on DeRuyter pretty hard last week after Baylor, admittedly so, right? And against TCU, they were better against, but not much better. We talked about it. The defense still wasn't great. And so the fact that this game against I think Rocco Becht is really good. I mean, some of the zip he had on the ball I thought was really impressive. I still think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12. But the defense did a really good job, both against Rocco Becht and against the running game, right? This Iowa State, Abu Sama had an okay game, but didn't dominate. Carson Hansen struggled, right, in this game. So I think overall the defense did a really good job in this game, keeping the game, even with the offense's issues and struggles, keeping the game close. So y'all have already mentioned the fact that we did nothing after the fumble, when we came out of halftime. But finally we got the ball. Finally, and one of the things that McGuire also said at halftime was we got to run the dang ball, right? Which, quick aside, I do think that's so if McGuire, you're the head coach, by the way, you can make those decisions. Like you can call it down and be like, hey, we got to run the dang ball. Like I don't know, like you're not a journalist, right? You can just do it. But anyways, so we did start running the dang ball there in a 12-play drive, take it all the way down, mostly thanks to Taj Brooks, and a really nice pass from Baron Morton to Clay Aiken. So that set us up in deep in Iowa State territory, and then capping it off with that nice pass to Josh Kelly. And I think that touchdown there, I'm like, okay, maybe we are actually ready to play, right? Like that was the one I'm like, okay, the game is because now at this point, towards the end of the third quarter, and it's like, okay, well, we're still in this. Maybe, like I still don't really think we're gonna win yet, but maybe we still got a shot. As we got to the end of the third quarter there, and then all my hopes and dreams were dashed because of what was and is one of the worst coaching decisions I think I've seen in a very long time. So much so that there have been some questions as to whether it was his fault or not. But guys, gentlemen, I'm pointing to the fact that we had 4th and 1. We're ready to go for it. Jalen Conyers in the short package play. This is the play that everybody said was cute. It wasn't. It was just our short package play. Burnmore off to the side. Conyers, Todd gloves. Let's get it done. 1 yard. And we get a delay of game. We get a delay of game, everyone. We get a delay. And mind you, Joey McGuire, this video Joey McGuire right beside the referee. We get a delay of game. Now, I will say, Joey McGuire said and stated that him and 3 other coaches were trying to call a timeout and they didn't give it to him. That usually doesn't happen. Refs are usually really good about giving timeouts. Even if you go do it after the fact, they're usually really good about giving timeouts. And so I'm not saying he's lying. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that that's not typical. Like 3 seconds before it was out, the camera panned to him right beside the ref. Unless he found the one deaf ref there. I don't know. But that's what he says, right? And so 4th and 6, you're like, well, they took they should have went for it. In my mind, like they should have went for it, but they're not going to. It's fine. 4th and 6, punt it away. Let's make this a difficult game. And gentlemen, he said, hell no. Last week we didn't go for it on 4th and 2, but this week 4th and 6 after delay of game, you bet your ass we're going for it. And of course we didn't get it. Why would we?
Yeah.
Of course we didn't get it. Joe, what were your feelings and thoughts there?
That play lasted like 78 seconds in my mind, because Barron was scrambling around back there trying to find an open receiver. And then he finally gets a pass off to Josh Kelly, which, was on his fingertips, which I think Kelly makes that catch 9 out of 10 times if the weather conditions are a little bit different out there. I just think that, he didn't have his footing underneath him, or he jumped a little bit too early to, reach out for that grab. So I think under most circumstances, you would see that catch by Josh Kelly. But I also think that, you need to punt the ball. Punt the ball.
Man.
Your defense had not given you reason for you not to trust them up until this point in this game. They're creating havoc. They're making life very difficult for Beck. Yeah, they're giving up, little chunk plays here and there, but they have really good wide receivers. So, that's to be expected. You leave them and you stop them. Nothing really gouging you down the field. So, let your defense work. They've been keeping you in this game this entire game. Why do you not trust them all of a sudden?
So, Jeremy, what somebody listening to this may say is that these guys are a bunch of flip-floppers. TCU, they wanted them to go for it. Now they want them to pump the ball. These guys, they don't even know what they really want. And to them, what do you say?
Analytics, man. Hey, the analytics said it was a totally different game. Like Joe mentioned, like your defense was playing out of their mind. They were creating havoc. They had one of the best havoc rates in the United States, according to analytics. You were playing. You had the momentum going your way. So 4th and 1, absolutely, man, go for it. Here's the thing for me: if you're 4th and 1, you get a delayed game and you're backed up. It is coaching 101 that if you get the delay of game or an offside, false start, you punt it. Like that's the rule. Like you had your chance, you punt it. I think McGuire will sometimes get so dead set stubborn. And I bet you a piece of him from that referee not giving the timeout, he was like, I'm going to effing get this anyways. Like I am almost 100% sure that was his motif. Because any coaching, he would probably now go back and say, yeah, punting it would have been smarter. But I think in that moment, it's cold in Ames. That ref ignored him or whatever. He was deaf, right? He was like, you know what? F this. I'm still gonna go for it. I'm gonna show you. Well, you know what? He showed, Barrymore. So just a terrible, abysmal end of that drive. I agree. Like that was so bad.
You might actually be onto something there, right? Like a part of me does kind of think maybe that's exactly what happened, where he said, you know what? I'm still like, there's the rooters behind him, like, no, coach, you got to punt this. Nah, screw that ref, screw him. I'm going for it, damn it.
Throw it.
How dare he ignore my call? We're going for it. And then he riles everybody up. Yeah, coach, one of us. And then, that
happened. Well, I mean, you think about the McGuire motif, like that is him. Like he wants to prove he wants to have that chip on his shoulder. He's looking for that angle to get his guys rallied up and excited. And anybody who's like throwing piss on the fire for him is like, absolutely, I'm going to prove you wrong. And unfortunately, at this point, it was a foolish thing. Again, I think if in retrospect he would agree, I should have just punted it, but that's probably
I'm a little tired of retrospect, Joey. Right? Like every time I hear on the press conference, I feel like for every loss, there's like, I probably should have done this, or I kind of messed up there. Like, how long were you a high school football coach? Now this is your third year in the Big 12, and you already spent years as an assistant. Like we went through Cliff Kingsbury that was trying to learn on the fly. You should know what you're doing at this point. Right.
Yeah. Give me foot in the tire, McGuire. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely. So after that, to your point, the defense did come through, right? Held them to a field goal, and Cal Conrandy, their field kicker, he missed it, shanked it, scrub. And so and apparently they didn't get blocked. It looked like it got blocked, but apparently it didn't. He just wailed it. I mean, he had no shot at it. He was like, well, well. It was one of those kicks he kicked it. And he was like, well.
Funniest tweet I saw after that was from some Iowa State dude that said, right off the crossbar.
Hey, guys, it was so close.
Right off the crossbar. We were right there, guys.
It was close.
I hate to admit it, but Iowa State fans are really funny. I think they're some of the best fans out there.
Jeremy's hate for Iowa State going away.
They still suck, and I hope that they never win a game ever again. But yeah,
that was too good. I was like, man,
it was funny.
That's gold.
Yeah, but I will say, guys, eventually the dam does break. Iowa State was able to get the ball, take it down, a nice pass to Jaden Higgins, and then really that pass to Carson Brown on the sideline made a couple guys mess to the house. But here's the thing about that play. I don't know if I tweeted this or just thought it. I don't remember. But I remember when the touchdown happened, saying this might have been the best thing that could have happened. Because mind you, when he caught the ball, he was already first down. So like that aspect of it being 3rd and 13 was already out. You're already first down. But a small part of me was like, would I rather him score here or them drain out the clock and kick a field goal with 5 seconds left?
That was my thought too. That's exactly what I thought.
That's where they were going. I mean, they were on the 44 at that point, where he caught the ball was around the 30. They're already in field goal range, right? And I'm like, maybe this wasn't that bad. And I think the best part about it, Jeremy, was that they didn't get the 2-point conversion. I think that was huge. And it was kind of looked over.
Obviously.
Like, okay. Yeah, but like that was, I thought was like, okay, they didn't get the 2-point conversion. We got 2 minutes to score. I know the offense has kind of been crummy, but this is probably a better solution than had they not, right? Yeah. And Jeremy, it sounds like you're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, it was one of those that, man, they were just having such an efficient drive. I thought, God, like, man, they're just kind of cooking. Like, the only thing that's going to slow them down is a turnover. And I feel like we kind of played that out. Like, we created enough havoc throughout the game. I was like, this defense they did their job. I'm not going to just be like, hey, get a turnover. It doesn't work like that. So they played above and beyond. So my mind, whenever he broke off that touchdown, I thought, at first I was like, that might be the game. But then I looked at the clock. I thought, actually, we kind of got in a really sweet scenario because we still got the 2-minute warning. Like
Mhm.
we've got and Iowa State burned through their time. That's something we did not talk about. Iowa State got rid of 2 of their timeouts too early in this half. Early in that third. And so them only having one kind of put a little pressure on Campbell to call a little bit different of a game. And it worked out for them in this moment. But inadvertently, they gave us a lot of time. And having that 2-minute warning, having the timeouts that we did. Yeah, our offense was blunt all game, but I was like, if it's going to happen, we got the drive to do it.
You know what's funny? I will give Zach Kittley his flowers. I thought the last drive he called a very good drive.
It was his.
Like,
it was his magnum opus.
Starting off with that Taj Brooks run right before the 2-minute warning, perfect. Because what?
After a penalty.
As a defense, yeah. Well, Joe, why you gotta bring this down? Okay.
Hey, call a spade a spade. I mean,
you're the optimist here. Close your eyes.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, so it's 1st and 15, right before the 2-minute warning. You're, as a defense, expecting a pass. You're expecting 2 minutes to go. They got to go all the way down the field. You 1st and 15, just got a false start. You're expecting a pass, and instead, nice little 16-yard run. And actually, it's funny. At the time, I'm like, man, it'd be great for them to run here. You know, a run here would be perfect. 15-yard pass, right? And I understand I'm sounding a little bit like LeBron. But I'm serious. I definitely thought a run here would be perfect. And then even on that 3rd and 15, right? Realizing Barron, I think, did a great job on a 3rd and 15 of saying, I don't need to get all 15 yards here. We're in 4-down territory. I need to make sure that 4th down is something I can easily get. I do not want to put myself in a 4th and 15. So I can't find anybody. I'm going to run for 8 yards. And I was like, oh, thank God. Get 8 yards. Make 4th and 7. 4th and 7 was there. Nice zip to Josh Kelly, and we're in motion. We get halfway down. All of a sudden, now Iowa State's heels are they're all back on their heels because they already forced a 3rd and 15 and a 4th and 7, and they didn't get it. They already had a false start that they let the running backs run for 16 yards. Now it's a little bit demoralizing. Oh crap! We just let Taj Brooks run for 14 yards. Oh crap! We let him a pass to Josh Kelly for 13 yards go. Oh crap! Jordan Brown, who the hell is that? Right? Now. I'd also be remiss if I didn't talk about how great this drive was and not mention that Baron Morton missed 3 touchdown passes on this drive.
Which was on par with his performance for the day. So,
and actually, even the one to Jordan Brown, if he just does it like normal pass, that's a touchdown. And it worked because we needed some more time to come off the clock. So it was like wasn't the worst thing in the world that he didn't hit Jordan Brown on the money, but 3 times. It was 3 times. He first, what was it? He first overthrew Josh Kelly. Yeah. Then he underthrew Jordan Brown when Jordan Brown was on a streaker. All right. And then he once again underthrew Jordan Brown, but this time Jordan Brown caught it. So Baron Morton really struggled in this game. You know, we could talk about it being the weather. We could talk about it being, maybe the shoulder injury. I thought it might have been the shoulder injury until I saw him overthrow Josh Kelly. I'm like, well, that one, man.
Yeah. You got the gas, buddy.
Yeah. So, but then we find it off with that nice little direct snap to Taj Brooks. Jalen Conyers leading the way. That package, I love it. I love that package. It's foolproof as long as you don't get any penalties. That's the only thing that stops that package is penalties. Like anytime we've seen that not work has been a false start, a holding, a penalty. Or, actually the one other time it didn't work was because a true freshman didn't know how to block. So like that's it, right? So everybody does their job. It is a foolproof play. But we scored the touchdown. We win the game. Happy, joy, gentlemen.
Big road win. Joe Vimber starts off, whoever phrased that term, whatever. I mean, he's 9-2 his last 11 games in November and December.
That's crazy. But yeah, no, he gets the win. Beats 11th ranked Iowa State. I will say that almost every Red Raider coach has had a legendary road win. Even the bad ones, even the Matt Wells and Cliff Kingsbury and Tommy Tuberville, they've all had, top tier ranked road wins against a top 15 opponent. And so Joey McGuire has his, right? And so big win, undefeated no more Iowa State. I know some people in Big 12 offices are upset because trying to get as many people in the college football playoff as possible. This is not a great way to do it. Iowa State, now the pundits say that Iowa State has almost no chance of making the college football playoff as an at-large. Of course, they still have a chance in the Big 12 championship title, but as an at-large, it's not like they have no chance. It seems like the only team that has any shot at making it to the Big 12 to the college football playoff as an at-large is BYU. But I don't care. I don't care. I want to win. So anything else to say about this game, gentlemen?
Iowa State had all the metrics to win this. Like, people can be pissy about Texas. I mean, I feel like that's a small minority. But I think there are people that are upset that like Texas Tech spoiled Big 12's ability to get 2 in. And I think that you're fighting an uphill battle there. Like, pundits kind of AP across the board, they don't want the Big 12 to be successful. People that are like voting on the playoff stuff, they don't care about the Big 12. They want the narratives that they want. So Iowa State shot themselves in the foot a lot. Like, Iowa State had everything that they could to, like, they had everything that they needed to win this game, and they got beat by a team with one of the worst defenses in the country. So I think that, and to be funny, I mean, they also did only get 20 points against Houston, although Houston didn't score a damn point at all. We performed better than them. So Iowa State had a chance to win. They didn't. This was an excellent marquee victory. Like, after we won, I did feel weird. It was like almost emotionless. I was like, I'm shocked we won. I don't know how to feel, because I spent the whole game being upset at Kitley for not adjusting, not addressing offensive issues. He rode with his guy. He rode with Morton, even though Morton had one of the worst games of his career. And we squeaked out a win. So that was definitely West Texas tough. McGuire crying in the post-game interview. You could tell all the pressure that guy's been under. I appreciate his humility just to kind of give it to the guys and, just be honest about how hard everybody's working. We see it. Like, you beat 11 ranked Iowa State in Ames, right? It's hard to win in Ames, and they make sure of that. And so you get out, you get that win. Can't be upset with it. It's a dub. Now you have to get back to it because you got another top 25 team coming.
Good news is that, or good news and bad news, because of the low scoring output, Texas Tech is no longer leads the Big 12 in offensive yards per game. Good news is Texas Tech is no longer leads the Big 12 in most yards given up per game. We're now second place. Shout out to Oklahoma State. They are now the worst defense in the conference. If you look at yards, don't look at points. Just look at yards. So there you go. Good job, fellas. So there's that. As we look around the conference a little bit, there's other games that happened. Texas Tech beating Iowa State wasn't the only top 20 upset in the Big 12. Houston at home beat 17th ranked Kansas State. Guys, so I live in the Houston area now. I am technically a graduate of the University of Houston system. And guys, if you're a Houston fan listening to this, you support your team. Like, I don't care if y'all don't think they're any good. Like, that's embarrassing. You're on the Big 12 now. All right. They tried to storm the field, and I couldn't tell. I could not tell. I was like, oh, okay. It was cheaper to go watch my freaking local high school football team, or no, more expensive to go watch my local high school football team, because it's for me to get into the door to watch. I think I'm zoned to Cy Park. For me to go watch Cy Park play Cy Springs is $10. For me to get into the door to watch U of H play Kansas State is cheaper than $10. That is embarrassing. All right, Cougar fans, like, what the hell, man? Come on, do better. But Houston, 24-19, good win for them. And even though I saw one of their celebrations in the locker rooms, and I would have thought it was an away game, the whole thing needs to be improved. Like, y'all are embarrassing us. Y'all are with us now. Like, come on, guys. I don't know, Joe, if you watched that game at all.
I did not watch until the tail end to kind of see exactly how that was going to play out. I was like, there's no way that this game is this close right now. Avery Johnson, sometimes just gets in his bag, and he's one of the hardest guys to bring down on a football field. And yet somehow the Houston Cougars had his number caused some problems in the backfield and made him throw an ill-advised interception late in the game there to
twice
ice it.
in the game.
Yeah.
No, the problem is he can't pass. Like the read on Avery Johnson is just that, like, keep him in the pocket, make sure he doesn't run, and you'll be good. And Houston started doing that in the second half, and it worked. And Zion Chris, I give him a lot of credit because he also is an athletic beast, both using his legs, but also takes care of the ball. He doesn't, and it's he's not necessarily somebody that has a lot of ability when it comes to arm strength or any of those, but he's going to make sure, like, hey, if you're open, I'll hit you. Hey, tight end, hey, running back, I'll hit you. And so that's worked. I think Kansas State lost this game because they didn't feature DJ Giddens enough. If there's one running back in the conference that I think is on par with Taj Brooks, right, and maybe even better, I'm not going to necessarily go that far, but I do think that they're 1 and 2 is DJ Giddens. Right, I know coming into the season we looked at guys like Devin Neal and RJ Harvin, and those guys. And those guys are so good, but it's Brooks and Giddens are the 2 best running backs in the conference. So Giddens was just not featured enough. Just like how we were complaining about Brooks. I think if you listen to Bosco's boys, they're probably complaining about the fact that Giddens didn't get the ball enough, right? So there's that. Arizona State at Oklahoma State. There's a reason Oklahoma State now is the worst defense by yardage in the conference. Arizona State beat them 42-21, and the game was in Stillwater. Mike Gundy, you know the game was bad because Mike Gundy after the fact was like, "Hey man, if you hate on us, it's because you broke."
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that one. Guys, we have to beat Oklahoma State. We have to now. We can't lose to that guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, what do you say? Arizona State better than expected. Oklahoma State abysmally worse than expected.
Easily the worst season of Mike Gundy's career. Easily.
Yeah, it's really challenging. It's really challenging their athletic director for sure.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about Oklahoma State this year is that we thought, and most people thought, the only thing that would be holding them back would be quarterback play. And if Bowman figured it out, then they'd be fine. And yeah, Bowman stinks. He definitely stinks. But their defense is what's
worse in the country.
Awful, right? Or worse in the conference, which the conference is the country, so I respect.
No, worse in the country.
Are you saying that's it?
No, I'm dead serious.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. You heard it here first, folks. Worst in the country. But yeah, no, I would have never thought that.
Also, Ollie only touched the ball 11 times in that game.
Another just egregious coaching move.
Well, and where has he been all season? It's kind of, we went from a potential first-round draft pick to
your local Stillwater beer store, probably.
Other games, UCF's. I hope we never play UCF on a space night. Mm-hmm. I hope we never play them when they have their space night because they're undefeated so far in it. Gus Malzahn was saying he wished they could do the space night every week. They just beat the hell out of Arizona, 56-12. Arizona not looking as good as we once thought. Their coach is looking to be on the way out, according to local rumors. Mind you, he was just hired 10 months ago.
It's wild.
Yeah. So, absolutely terrible stuff going on for the Wildcats. That guy that threw up on your shoes, Jeremy, isn't having a fun time.
No, he's not, is he? He's ready for basketball.
Yeah. And then we got the Blue Bonnet Battle, the worst rivalry name in college football. Baylor TCU. It actually was a really good game. It was a very good game between these two teams. And unfortunately, Texas Tech now holds the honor of being the only team in Texas that TCU has beaten this year. They've lost to everybody. They've lost to Houston. They've lost to SMU. They've lost to Baylor. But they beat Texas Tech. So that's fun.
It was the comms.
This is the combo. That's really what this was. This is the communication.
Comms Bowl. Yep.
Yeah. So game-winning field goal at the end there by Isaiah Hankins. And Baylor wins this game. TCU also grasps defeat from the jaws of victory. allowing Baylor to score 17 points in the fourth quarter there to win the game. So,
Hey, is Aranda off the hot seat now, you think?
I'd say so. They have a really good recruiting class coming in for Baylor next year.
That's right, they do. That's what they say.
Top 3 in the conference. They're actually starting to spend money now, and the team's not bad. They're really not. I wasn't just saying that. The team is really not a bad team. They got a quarterback that people can rally behind. So I do think that I actually think between the two of them, TCU got to watch out about Dykes, right? Like that's the one I'm like, because the Baylor players still respect Aranda. Like regardless of anything else, they respect Aranda. They want to fight for Aranda. I don't know if I can say the same thing for the Frogs and Dykes. So
you checked the website lately, the coaching hot seat. I'm sure that that percentage has changed a little bit. 3 weeks ago, Aranda was at the top whenever we talked. So,
all right, here we go. CoachesHotSeat.com. Let's see who's number 1. Trent Dilfer has overtaken him. Good for you, Aranda. You are no longer at the top. It is now Trent Dilfer from UAB. UAB deciding to move in a direction away from winning and instead hiring Trent Dilfer, and he's been nothing but bad since. Dave Aranda is still number 3 on this website, but I'm pretty sure this just has not been refreshed. I'm sure it's going to go down. Jeremy, I hate to tell you something. I don't know if this is good news for you or bad news for you, but your boy, Sonny Cumbie, number 6.
If it all lines up, it lines up.
Yeah, I'm about to say bad news for Sonny, but it might not be the worst news for us. I'll just put it out like that. You know what I mean?
TBD. Yep.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, anything else you want to say to the people?
Oh man, 8-4. My prediction's still going strong.
Not only going strong, your prediction is looking likely, I would say.
Cool.
Joe, anything else you want to say to the people?
Big week of tech sports. College basketball starting up this evening with the women's taking on Incarnate Word. I think that game is over. I think they
decimating them.
Put a pretty solid beat down. Men play tomorrow evening. The women's soccer team plays on Thursday. And then, we have college big day kickoff on Saturday here for the Colorado game. So big week here in the hub city for sure. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We have this the season is still, it's still in front of us. I know we got some predictions that we might be going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl if all things line up correctly. I know some people, there's still technically a chance for Texas Tech to make the Big 12 championship game, which would be insane. I think the toughest game remaining on our schedule is this upcoming weekend against Colorado. Beat Colorado at home, then you play the worst team in the conference, Oklahoma State, in Stillwater. It's not going to be easy, but they are the worst team in the conference for a reason. And then you have home against West Virginia, who, again, it's not going to be easy, but winnable game. Right, so everything's in front of us. We'll talk about that later this week. So, for the regular expert, that is Joe Lopez, and for the People's Champ, that is Jeremy Gillen. This is your boy, Albie Short, and you've been listening to the Tortillas Takes podcast, part of the 1012 Network. As always, stay right, people.